Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Volta TST. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded and will be shared live on YouTube. So please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share. It will be live. So first of all, I want to make sure that everybody has taken notice of the fact that the technical team from ONF has now moved to Intel. So myself, Matteo, Girish, Hardik, that work on Volta are not ONF employees anymore, but we are Intel employees, effective as of the 5th of April. So last 1 week ago. So that was that has been a big change in the for ONF. I encourage everybody for you to read about this in this article that I put here, and we are currently working on a transition plan for Volta that includes this team, meaning again myself, Matteo, Hardik, and Girish, to move away from Volta. We still have a partial commitment to the 2.10 release. What that means is that while we will not take on any new features, we will work within this release to finish up the existing ones, for example, the combo pawn support, and bring to as best as we can the roadmap that we have set together completed. But we will not take on new features. We will not take on new tests. We will not take on any more elements, because our focus will instead be on training what you could consider our replacements, in the sense that we are actively looking for somebody that is going to take up my place, the TST lead. And then also we are working together with Radisys to ship them our hardware pods from Menlo Park to Hillsboro in Oregon. And we will actively work with them to make sure that the people that we sent the hardware to are knowledgeable about both the hardware and the software platform that we use for testing, and are capable of managing it. So before I move forward, I would like to open up the floor and see if there are any questions from anybody. No questions? Okay, no comments. I thought this would have stirred the pot for a few questions or comments.
Well, it could still be stirring. Maybe the top of the volcano has not blown off yet, Andrea.
maybe that is true, Raj. Maybe that is indeed true. Maybe this was such a shock that everybody's in awe and cannot speak. Agreed. Fair enough. But so
no, the only thing I will say as a comment really is congratulations to all of the team at ONF on this big announcement and the big change. I think for each of you professionally and personally, I think it goes without saying that everybody on this call who have been here much longer than I have been, for example, will probably feel the same way, and they can chime in that the contributions that you and the ONF team have brought in, I don't even know how to measure them. I think they're tremendous, and they're probably unmeasurable if you honestly ask me. The fact that we are where we are is because of this community, but with the leadership from you and the rest of the team at ONF is just wonderful. So thank you for that.
Thanks a lot for the kind words, Raj. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Yes, it is a big change for all of us, but indeed exciting, and we are looking forward to our next chapter in our work and personal life within within Intel. We move as a whole team because of ONF. So that is really good from a perspective of staying with people we know and with the ONF family in some sense. So that is good, and thanks for the congratulations. Okay, so if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. I hope that all of you have my ONF email. I will still have it up until give or take the end of April. If you want to reach us after the end of April, but I suggest you start right now like that. So if you need to start a new thread with us, please do include our ONF email. Our Intel email. Let me write down mine. Mine is andrea.campanella@intel.com, and all of Matteo's, Girish's, and Hardik are the same. So name.surname@intel.com. I would encourage you to reach out to me if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you'd like us like an answer to. And the expectation is that the project Voltha will continue as a community-led project. This community is very strong. I strongly believe that we will see even more success of Voltha because of the great work that all of you will do in the future, even without us. Especially maybe without us, especially maybe without some of the reins that ONF was putting on the project. So I'm excited to see what you guys can do for the project in the future. But again, as I said, feel free to reach out to me at any given point for anything. For the TST lead, we'll probably put out a call for submissions of candidacies, but if anybody wants, feel free to reach out as a candidate for the project lead, TST lead. Okay, so next up, I wanted to address the LW lightweight controller for Voltha. So the current state of things is that we have started a scale measurement. It has shown potential at 512 ONUs. We have tested the Deutsche Telekom workflow with a 1T-cont 1-gem tech profile. We have not yet tested the 1T-cont 8-gem, and we have not tested the Turk Telecom workflow and the Turk Telecom workflow at scale. We have found that LWC takes a little bit of time to discover the ports, more than what we expected. And we were waiting for Radisys to deliver a new image. But I have to say that as ONF, we cannot commit to test this in the way we have been testing the existing version of ONOS, meaning that the 2.10 release will still have the ONOS Classic as a default controller. The lightweight controller will come into play in the 2.11 release, and given that the commitment from ONF and the engineering team at ONF is not present for 2.11, it's really a community decision, meaning all of you to decide what to do next here. Because ONF cannot carry on a decision that cannot really do anything for, because we don't have the resources nor the time to modify the tests and modify the pipeline as we were planning for integrating LWC. So that contribution has to come from you guys. If you would like to hear my opinion as a person that deeply cares about Voltha, my suggestion is to proceed down this road. So identify key stakeholders that care about this LWC controller and care about changing it, and get together on a common implementation, which supposedly is the one from Radisys, because it has really shown the great potential to become that de facto implementation. And I would encourage Radisys to open source that, and the whole of the community to work on it, both this release and the next release. As concrete next steps, I would still encourage Radisys to provide this image to fix the port's discovery, and thus we can maybe include it into the pipeline here. For now, we're still present, so that is not a big of a change that we can still do. And then I would encourage Netsia to really take on this image and test it for the Turk Telecom workflow. What I cannot do is I cannot enforce this change of the controller, meaning that I cannot commit ONF to make it the de facto standard. It has to be a decision that the community makes to bring the project forward. And for that reason, I would like to give some more time to the community to really look into this and then decide what is the best course of action. I know Netsia has some pretty tight timelines, and that is why I would encourage them to really test this image out themselves if they have not done so. So let me pause here and hear out any questions or comments about this step.
And there is Raj from Radisys. I think, as you just appropriately said, it would be great if Netsia/Telecom can also take a look at the workflow for their use cases, if I may, right? And if they can provide some feedback, maybe in the next week or two. Not sure if they are in a position to test it, or maybe if they have started one, or if they plan to, but I would greatly encourage them to do so. And of course, I don't know if we have Suhas from our team on the call to see if Suhas, if you can provide an update on when we can have that updated image for the port discovery issue.
Have you guys found the issue for the port discovery, Suraj? Do you know what's going on there?
Andrea, that's a question for whom now?
That's a question for anybody who can answer from the Radisys team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know we have been following. I just don't know if anyone can provide an update.
We haven't much got any breakthrough on that, so we are still working. So probably next week we'll get an update.
Okay, Abhilash, thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Abhilash. Yep.
Andrea, just one thing regarding the test.
Yes.
That when we'll get the new image, you're right, it's easy to integrate in the pipeline, but we are in the process of shipping the test setup. So it will be a little while before we can actually run the test.
Yeah, I know. That is the case, and that is also one of the reasons why it doesn't make too much sense to commit to a decision right now, because we don't have at ONF the testing environment that can replicate the scale. I would encourage everybody maybe try and replicate, because I know that the Netset team has their scale pods, has their scale cluster, and the Deutsche Telekom as well have their scale cluster. So in the spirit of again trying this as a community, making this as a community decision and not something that is ONF driven, I would really encourage everybody to try and see if they can test this within their scale environments, which I know are present.
So to be honest, things are getting complicated for us. So we, as you stated, we have very strict timelines, Andre, and our team also has started the implementation for the microcontroller based on-OS replacement, and they have good progress. Also, I can say they started doing the scale tests. The preliminary test results are good, it seems. So I'm not sure we will also use the Redis's implementation in Turk Telekom. So we will see. I don't know right now. So I just wanted to explain our situation right now.
Serkan, this is Raj from Redis. I appreciate that update and at least the perspective. I'm with you with the earlier topic that Andrea brought up with respect to sort of them moving to Intel and them stepping out after Voltha 2.10. I see the point you're making. Maybe if you're still, again, like I said, we are open to you guys testing it and providing any feedback. But obviously we can't force you or anyone for that reason to use ours. It's obviously there on the table for discussion right now. If you believe you guys can test or want to test, do please let us know. I don't know who else on the Voltha community here has an interest or an ability to test. We're happy to support them with ONF for the next few weeks at least, right? So that we can park the discussion fairly quickly with respect to the replacement for ONOS, Serkan.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring this with our management team and want to hear their opinion on that. So thank you. And one other thing, the last time we discussed about the different implementation ways. So at least for Voltha 2.10, maybe we can agree on a different design. We were discussing the pods might be microservices based, so like in the BBF design documents, but that is beyond Voltha 2.10, I guess.
Serkan, you're more than welcome to take this this discussion over. I can add it again to the. I can add it to the TST. I'm always a little bit weary in the sense that specifying something where we already have two working solution, or at least Radis is working, yours is in the starting stage. My take is that it will go nowhere, but that is my opinion. Maybe it's a little bit pessimistic. So that's why I focused on getting an implementation tested with LWC. I do see your perspective of having strict timelines and having to go with something else, but I would really much encourage with opportunity to go with one as a community. I do understand that there might be differences and it might be hard, and sometimes it's easier to build something for yourself at the start, saying something, I'll make sure I'll make it, and I'll do it, and it's going to be great. But then you figure out that you invest a lot of time in something that somebody else already built, and building together is always better than building alone. But that is my opinion, and that is as far as I can go in suggesting what we should do further. Because, as I said, I don't have any power except my vote in the TST as still TST lead on this. I would at some point we should come to a decision for the open source project, and there I will cast my vote. But as ONF does not have the weight to put behind any of these, technically it's however you guys prefer. Obviously, as I said, I would suggest to stick to one solution altogether, or everybody together. But that's me.
I see your point. Yeah, thank you. But as we discussed, the ultimate solution should be like right now we are using Voltha to send the packets to the controller LWC. What we want is having a microcontroller on top of OLT, not on top of Voltha. That is why I am saying maybe after Voltha 2.10 we can continue discussing the new design.
Sure.
We'll see. Okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this one? Okay. No. And if not, I'd like to bring up a topic that I wanted to discuss, and Amit reminded me that would be needed. So in 2.9, with the new version of the OLT app, we made some changes in respect to what happens when a port gets removed. Before, we were just removing the ePOL flow and then leaving the subscriber flows there in ONOS, and letting it be there for the extended time of where the port was removed. Now we made the change to actually remove all the flows. But Amit was commenting that this is not actually the behavior that is desired. So maybe, Amit, can you refresh our minds a little bit on this topic so we can then make a discussion and come to a conclusion?
Yeah, sure. So just a little bit of correction. It's not port removed. It was
disabled.
Port disabled. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
in 2.9, sorry, 2.8, when the ONU was getting disabled, which effectively from an implementation perspective means that the UniPort gets locked, only the EAPOL flow was getting removed and the other flows on the ONU remained. But in 2.10, as Andres said, the change was done that all the flows of the ONT get removed when the port is disabled. So this, according to us, is a regression from the previous behavior. And at least for Deutsche Telekom workflows, and the understanding is that unless and until something changes on the PON, the flows should not be removed or modified, right? In this case, nothing is changing on the PON. So the flows should have remained intact as was with 2.8. So yeah, that's the background. So I think the first question would be is Was there any specific reason why this change was brought about?
So I do remember we had discussed this at ONF a while back. It was myself and Matteo. I think this was done for consolidation purposes between the events, in the sense that we wanted to take all the events in the same manner. But Theo, maybe you can refresh my mind on this one.
Yeah, I was trying to remember, but I think our approach was basically that if the port goes down, then there is no point leaving the flows behind. Because when a port goes down, you don't really know whether it's going to come back or not. So it just made sense to clean up after yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the reason why we made it exactly the same as port removed. What Amit is saying is that this is not actually the same, because port disabled is actually the UNI that goes down. And instead in port removed is actually the pawn port that goes away. So the difference is, as far as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the fact that with port disabled, all the MCI configuration and the ONU is still up. The ONT is still up. While with port removed, that is not actually the case. Is that correct, Amit?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
But so if you disconnect the ONU, you'll get a port removed event?
Yes.
Okay.
If you disconnect the ONU from the pawn tree, then you get a port removed.
Okay. But then, yeah, it's not entirely clear to me what's the issue with removing the flows when the port is disabled, because they are pushed again once the port comes back up.
Yeah, so imagine the case of ONT, standalone ONT and CPE connected to it, right? So when you plug out the CPE from the ONT's uniport, the port on the ONT would be down, right? The uniport, because it's not getting power. So if somebody were to be just switching on and off the ONT, the CPE and not the ONT, we will still be removing and re-adding the flows, but which is not necessary because nothing has changed in the pawn and the flows only affect the pawn.
Yeah, okay, so we're doing some operation which are strictly not necessary.
Yeah,
but,
it's not necessary. Yeah.
But are not blocking anything. It's not that like it doesn't work anymore.
It's redundant work. That's what I mean to say.
Well, but when someone turns down a CPE, do you have any guarantee that the CPE is going to come back on?
No, but what we are saying is that that should not impact the flows that are present on the ONU, because nothing was done on the ONU. The CPE is, well, I guess the CPE is not under the realm of Voltha itself. Maybe
that's not entirely true, though, because like in the previous implementation we were always removing the EPOL flow because we required, for the 18TKs, we required the CP to authenticate again.
Yeah, we wanted it to re-authenticate, and that's why the EPOL flow was removed. That's correct.
And you, in the meanwhile, you don't want to give access to the network to an unauthenticated device.
Yeah, that is correct.
If you still have the flows there, you still have access.
Yes, that's correct.
So I think what Amit is saying is that we should still revert back to the old behavior, where we will remove the EPOL flow, but we will not remove subscriber flows. Is that what you're saying, Amit?
Yes, that is precisely the way that we are thinking of, and that is how the Deutsche Telekom workflows are, right? Because the flow provisioning and the flow removal or through ONOS, right, happens only when something changes on the phone. So when the ONT comes in or when the ONT goes out. Now, what is happening after this change is when the uniport gets toggled, right, the flows get removed. But the upper layers, they are not looking for this event because that's not what is believed, that on uniport or the subscriber turning on or off a CPE that the flow should be provisioned. So this change does not match with the Deutsche Telekom workflow. That's where the real problem is.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
So
fine reverting this change, and I'm sorry if it modified an existing and agreed upon workflow.
Is there a configuration in ONOS that allows for configurability of removing flows or not on port disable? I don't think there is.
Could add that,
we could
but
put
it was
that
never
in.
there.
It was never there, yeah.
It was never
The one issue I see, to be very honest, is that on 2.9, this requires re-releasing all the ONOS apps, which is very much a pain.
And also
well,
the tests, right? I mean, we validate the flows on port disable. I think a lot
we
of tests could be affected
to make,
too.
yeah, and we need to change the tests.
But
So
why do we need to release all the apps?
We need to release at least OLT and
the
then
This
Kafka?
is not changing the APIs.
No, it's not changing. It's not
anything.
changing the API. So we need just that one, and we need a release of Voltha ONOS. Okay, yeah, no, that's doable.
Yeah, if
but
we
it's not-
change the configuration, then we need to release everything. But I wouldn't do that on 2.9. We can
No,
add that
no,
in
no, no.
2.10 if we want to, but I don't think there is a reason to make that configurable.
No, absolutely not. So, okay, Amit, do you mind creating a Jira for this?
Sure.
And put a label as ONF and target it for 2.10. We can do this as part of our bug fix process.
Just one question, Amit. You said when we turn off the CP, the uniport goes down, but we don't listen to uniport events. I mean, the uniports are enabled or disabled based on a configuration at the ONU to enable certain uniports on the ONU. But turning off or on the CP itself should not make the port code disabled at ONOS, because we don't listen to those uniport events.
It won't be disabled, but I think the upper state, or I'm not very sure what the exact ME attributes there, but one of the ME attributes should show that it is off, right? As in it's not getting signal from the other end.
Yeah, Girish, I think we're getting a link up, link down event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are asynchronous alarm events that do come up for these LAN ports on the ONU, but I don't know if that is being somehow passed on to ONOS to make it.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that is what is used in the OpenONU adapter to keep track of the port state.
Okay. Got it. Thanks. Yeah, maybe it makes sense to make this configurable at ONOS to remove all flows or not, so that way they could have less impact across all the stacks, across all the other workflows where we don't want to have much impact. Maybe just enable this just for DT workflow.
Not sure we want to enable this just for the DT workflow. Circa, what do you think?
So when the UNI ports are disabled, I'm thinking of how we implemented it. I think we don't remove all the flows, I guess, but I need to check.
Okay. Do you mind checking that?
Yes, I can update this document. Is that okay?
Sure.
When I
That
get
would
time.
be that would be great. That would be great. Would be perfect actually. Okay. Okay, so Amit, please do create a Jira, and yeah, we'll try and take over this in the next few days. It should be a fairly trivial change. It's not going to be that big, and I would believe we can put it into master, make sure it works, modify the tests, and then once that is done, move it to 2.9. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sounds super to me.
Hardik, we do test this scenario, right?
Yeah, I remember.
I remember there was a test change for this, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we will need a change for that one as well.
Yeah.
It's okay. 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 Well, that was all I had for today. Anything you guys want to bring up or discuss?
I have one topic. If we have
Yep.
time, we could just go to it.
Yep.
Okay. So is it okay if I grab the screen share?
Yes.
Let me know if you were able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So this is regarding the OLT disconnect behavior, right? So how the problem statement is something like this, that you have the OLT ONU, right, and the lead spine, something like in the Telecom network, and you have the Volta adapters running on a Kubernetes cluster. Now, what happens if the connection between the Kubernetes cluster and this box goes down, right? And in this case, the OLTs are in-band managed, right? So the adapter thinks that it has lost connectivity to the OLT, which is the case, right? And the current behavior is that it waits for some time to regain heartbeat. And if it is not able to, after, I think it's a configuration value, what it does, it removes everything for that OLT, in the sense that the ONUs and things like that, right? So it releases all the resources for that OLT. Now, because the OLT is in-band managed, the data path could, in this case, would still be running fine, right? And once this link between the spine and the cluster comes back up, it will regain connectivity to the OLT. But what would have has already happened is that all the OLT data is gone, right? And it is not there in ONOS as well, right? So when ONOS syncs up with Volta core again, right, it is going to release all these ONTs. So the data path for all the existing subscribers, which was working fine, would all be terminated, and they will reconnect, and yes, then everything will work fine. But because of a problem in the link between the spine and the cluster, right, all the subscribers data part or subscriber sessions are toned down, which is something we should try to avoid, right? So in that regard, the proposal is that, and there was a document which we had worked on in the community quite some time back, where we had discussed about all the potential failures. I think it was initiated by Saurabh first, and then Andrea had worked on it, and I had also contributed to that. And the current behavior is what was there in the document, right? So the proposal that we are making is that, so I have a chart here, sorry, right? So when we are when the OLT is in the connected or active state, right, and we don't get a heartbeat, right? So somehow it is detected, right, after a number of heartbeat misses that it is in disconnected unknown state. Okay, so when we go into the disconnected or unknown state, we just mark the device as connection status as unreachable, but we don't clean up anything. And only when we regain heartbeat of to that device, right, we get into a new state. Or this is just for explanation perspective, right? I'm not suggesting that we need to implement the states as is, right? We get into an auditing kind of a phase where we try to figure out, was this device, when we regain the heartbeat, was it really rebooted, or was it just a disconnection, right? And based on that, if it was a reboot, yes, then we release all the resources that were there for this OLT and ask all the ONUs, okay, you come in again, and we treat you as a new customer or whatever, new device. But if that is not the case, and it was just a lost connection, right, we reconcile the state between the device and what the adapter has, right? So because we don't know for how long this connection was down, right? Maybe it was 5 minutes, maybe it was, I don't know, 2 hours, right? And maybe something has changed out here on the OLT, right? Maybe new OLTs were trying to latch on, they could not, obviously, but maybe some of the existing OLTs have been turned off. So we could do an audit, right, and figure out what the current status is, and based on the audit, right, we make the changes, or we change the data that the adapter and vCore has. So we release those ONTs that are not there, right? And the new ones will anyways come in again, right? And only then we move to the active state. So the same thing what I just said, right? We did the OLT reboot. If yes, then yeah, clean up all the resources that we are doing as of today. And that's the end of the audit, and we move back to the connected state, and things work as is today. If it was not a reboot, then we find the delta between the ONUs, right, before what we saw and now what we see, and depending on the delta, right, we do a cleanup as needed. So with this, what would happen is, for a disconnection of this sort, the subscriber sessions, right, there won't be a downtime for the subscriber sessions. So that's what we're trying to say. Any comments, thoughts?
That makes sense, Amit, but do you have a solution for, so what if the owners can't clean all of the flows in time, and the OLT become activated again? So at the same time, the owners will try to delete and also add the same flow at
Yes.
some point, I guess.
So what we're proposing is that when it is auditing, it does not mark the device that it has become reachable again or active again, right? So owners will only be cleaning up. No new devices will be allowed in. So we don't take any new events from the OLT for any new incoming ONUs. And because the ONUs would keep on doing their discoveries, right? So it will settle down in due course of time. But we give time for the audit to complete and the state to settle in, and then only we allow the new guys to come in.
So you are proposing to delay the OLT activation if it's really restarted, rebooted.
Yes.
Okay.
So as of today, as soon as the OLT goes down, we do the cleanup, right? Yes. So you're correct. So when the OLT comes back after a reboot, there will be more latency or more time delay before it can really start processing subscriber traffic.
Yeah, this problem happened to us in production systems. So it's a critical problem in Volta, I can say.
So you mean the time delay for the OLT to?
No.
Okay.
We
failure
lost
of the link.
the MPLS connection. We lost the connection with the OLT. So we thought, Volta thought that the OLT is restarted. So we cleaned all the states in ONOS Volta, and we needed to manage all the operation again.
Yeah.
This is a reasonable proposal, Amit. I think it looks good, but I mean, if the disconnection is for too long, I mean, there could be a lot of queued up events and alarms. I mean, I don't know how many alarms or events can be queued, or what happens to them. I mean, we have never done this study or any such tests. There are a lot of complexities that we need to sort out during audit. Yeah, but certainly this is a good start, at least with the proposal.
Yeah. Yeah, so we will have to look into the implementation specifics, right? As to how exactly we can handle, and as you pointed out, right, there would be a lot of events queued up. So what do you do with those events? So we need to address this. Right? Okay, so if no other questions, then Andrea, you can take it back.
Well, that was the last topic. So I guess on this topic, so we should what are the next steps that you guys want to proceed with? Are you going to make the changes in the implementation? I mean,
Yeah, so let me discuss that internally as to how we take it forward from here, right? And then get back to you. I'll get back to the community.
Okay, sounds good. Do you mind sharing with me this presentation so I can upload it to the Volta docs, to the Volta folder in Google Drive?
Yeah, I will send it across.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, then if no other topics arise, please take it from me, and ping me any questions that you might have in respect to LWC, the transition of ONF, anything really. I wrote my email down in the TST notes. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining, and I'll talk to you again next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.